I open this journey with a direct question. What if your entire life is just a rehearsal for the final moment? That instant where science and spirituality meet at the edge of the mind. Recent studies have detected organized brain activity seconds after the heart stops, as if the brain were saving one last flash of consciousness. I don't bring this up as blind belief, but as a fascinating piece of data that reignites our curiosity. The invitation is simple: to follow, step by step, how childhood, time, memory, and death intertwine. The narrative remains practical, so each person can feel it in their own body and daily life. If the mind has windows, we'll open them all. And if time bends, we'll see where that fold takes us, not with fear, but with method. By setting this starting point, I make a promise. Every idea will come with a practice so that science, mind, and spirituality don't remain abstract concepts. I'll explore memories, biological rhythms, breathing, and habits, linking each theme to a simple gesture. I'll also raise questions that act like compasses, keeping curiosity alive without losing depth. When doubt appears, doubt will become a tool, and when wonder arrives, it will serve as energy to learn how to observe more deeply. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with humble precision and constant curiosity. In childhood, time feels elastic. Every smell, every sunny afternoon leaves deep marks because everything is new, and science shows that novelty expands how memories are formed. During this phase, the mind plays with the world as a living laboratory, and spirituality appears naturally as awe before the unknown. Later, routine speeds up and days pass like pages blown by a hurried wind. To stretch the fabric of time again, I suggest micro-rituals. Take a different route, learn something small each week, or record tiny nightly discoveries. This everyday engineering restores depth to experience and texture to attention, without demanding big changes. Along with these micro-rituals, add deliberate sensory pauses. Look at the sky for 2 minutes, listen to a song without multitasking, touch a surface, and mentally describe its texture. These small acts bathe the brain in safe novelty, something science links to neuroplasticity. The mind records more, and spirituality starts seeing beauty in the ordinary. At home or at work, the rule is the same. Less noise, more intention. Small, consistent adjustments recreate the feeling of longer days without needing a vacation. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with humble precision and continuous curiosity. I reach the threshold that fascinates me the most. What happens inside when the body goes silent? In animal models, researchers at the University of Michigan observed a rise in gamma waves right after cardiac arrest. In human studies, teams at Imperial College London compared near-death experiences to states induced by DMT, finding common patterns of light, unity, and time distortion. Here, science describes the circuits. Spirituality offers metaphors, and the mind organizes the pieces. The key point is convergence. Signs of concentrated processing emerge at the critical moment, suggesting an organized transition rather than instant chaos as the systems shut down. To keep the data grounded, I describe the observed pattern. After cardiovascular collapse, oscillatory activity shows unexpected coherence, and subjective reports align with this peak. The causal link remains under investigation, but the correlation is strong. How to proceed? By keeping a skeptical mind and an open heart, science to measure, mind to integrate, spirituality to give meaning. This tripod prevents confusion and keeps the path of inquiry useful to anyone seeking understanding, without falling into easy talk. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with operational humility and continuous curiosity. To make it tangible, I apply a simple mental diagram. Sensory input drops. Internal circuits increase their gain, and memory and time networks intensify their flow. The result is that life movie feeling, often described in such accounts. In practical terms, I train this observation during the small deaths of daily life, closing cycles, sudden changes, endings of projects. By noticing the pattern, the mind learns to transition. Science calls it memory reconsolidation. Spirituality calls it passage. In both cases, the act is continuous: breathe, name, integrate. This way, I prepare the ground to discuss time not as a tyrant, but as a malleable material shaped by focus. In my daily practice, I keep a field notebook where I record sensations, time, context, dominant emotion, perceived breathing, and change after 3 minutes of focus. Science appreciates data, The mind values clarity. Spirituality blooms when there is awareness. That notebook reveals how partial endings are constant. The last page of a book, the farewell to a role, the completion of a cycle. By recognizing patterns of closure, transition stops being a shock and becomes a passage. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with operational humility and continuous curiosity. Now I enter the territory of time perception. In states of threat or surprise, the brain increases the subjective resolution of the moment, and the experience feels like slow motion. In states of presence, breathing practices and mindfulness stretch the narrative of the day. Science describes the roles of the amygdala, prefrontal cortex, and insula. Spirituality speaks of silent prayer. In both, the tool is the same, focus. To train it, I use 25-minute blocks, walks without stimuli, and sunset rituals. The mind learns quickly through gentle repetition. Time then loses its roughness and becomes an ally, not an enemy. When the day demands precision, I apply a simple sequence. Box breathing for 3 minutes, a single priority for 50, an active pause, then a check-in before resuming. If multitasking tries to take over, I return to the protocol and continue. Science shows performance drops with distraction. The mind shows fatigue. Spirituality invites retreat. At the end, I write one specific line of gratitude, avoiding generalities. This simple act closes emotional circuits and reduces unnecessary noise before sleep. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with operational humility and continuous curiosity. From here, I project existential implications without dramatizing them. If patterns of organization appear at the limits of life, then everything that happens between beginning and end gains a clear direction. To live with presence. Science suggests reducing noise, keeping good sleep hygiene, practicing strength training, and cultivating protective relationships. Spirituality suggests gratitude, service, and silence. To integrate the two, I build a portfolio of meaning. One deep conversation per month, one first-time experience per week, one commitment to continuous learning. For personal finances, I prioritize simplicity and consistency, guided by education about broad indexes. The mind works best when the environment encourages calm, predictable choices. In relationships, I practice presence as a language. I have one screen-free meal a day, listen for 5 minutes without interrupting, and send a note of appreciation every week. These small acts strengthen cohesion, something science correlates with health and longevity. The mind becomes more stable and spirituality finds concrete expression in service. In financial decisions, a preference for low cost and diversification protects both focus and mood. Less drama, more steadiness. Less impulse, more process. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with operational humility and continuous curiosity. I organize everything into a model of 4 seasons. Childhood, expansion, and rich coding. Adult routine, compression, and automatism. Maturity, the search for meaning and refinement of focus. Final moment, organized brightness and a possible rapid review. Between these seasons, I place transitions. Breathing practices, attention hygiene, creative micro-challenges, and social connection. Science provides metrics. Spirituality offers direction. The mind executes. This model doesn't promise metaphysical guarantees, it offers maps for immediate use. By applying it, each person adjusts the volume of the day, reorders priorities, and learns to walk lightly toward the mystery without giving up rigor. To keep this model alive, I plan quarterly reviews. I reassess sleep, movement, learning, and relationships, adjust goals and rituals. If something jams, I reduce it to the smallest viable unit until it fits real life. Science values iteration. The mind learns in cycles. Spirituality embraces time. On the graph of one's own story, this ongoing adjustment draws a smooth curve, where each season benefits from the previous one and prepares the next, with respect for personal rhythm. On this journey, I align science, mind, and spirituality with operational humility and continuous curiosity. For those who want to start right away, here's a simple daily protocol. Morning 4 to 7 to 8 breathing, brief exposure to natural light, and writing down 3 intentions: body, mind, spirituality. Afternoon, 1 deep focus block with no notifications followed by a 7-minute active break. Evening, a 3-line reflection on the day, what I learned, what I felt, what I release. And 1 act of simple beauty, like music or the open sky. Weekly, strength and mobility training plus 1 first-time experience. Monthly. One meaningful conversation and one act of service. This behavioral framework roots presence. The mind thrives on gentle predictability, and time becomes fertile again. In stressful moments, I use a quick checklist: water, light, movement, breathing, words. If motivation fades, I start with the smallest step and celebrate completion. Science calls it positive reinforcement. The mind calls it relief. Spirituality calls it care. Over time, the routine becomes more flexible, and the calendar turns into a landscape rather than a cage. Every first time marks the inner map with joy and curiosity, feeding the neuroplasticity we long for. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with operational humility and continuous curiosity. With this foundation, I return to the mystery. In recent clinical records, coherent activity patterns have been observed even after cardiac arrest, especially in networks related to memory and time. I don't describe this as proof of an afterlife. I present it as an open field for exploration. Science collects signals. Spirituality offers symbolic meaning. The mind sustains the question. If a final flash truly exists, then every ordinary thought is a rehearsal for that light. That's why I treat attention as an instrument to be tuned. The better it's tuned, the better it plays. The better it plays, the deeper it listens. And through deep listening, we notice passages where we once saw walls. Curiosity remains the bridge to what comes next. I also return to language itself. I choose questions that open rather than close. What's essential here? What can I learn right now? How can I turn this into action? Science works with hypotheses. The mind needs direction. Spirituality thrives on clear intention. Between data and symbol, the most useful path is practice, one that honors complexity without freezing action. In this way, the final flash stops being a distant mystery and becomes a reference point for the quality of the present moment. On this path, I align science, mind, and spirituality with humble discipline and ongoing curiosity. Closing this continuous reflection, I leave a practical invitation. If the mind doesn't shut down immediately, and science detects organized activity at the threshold, then we have a daily responsibility to nurture awareness. What will keep vibrating in the field you inhabit? Fear or the memory of a life fully lived? The proposal is simple. Create a small ritual, share your insights, and keep exploring science, mind, and spirituality together. Subscribing, turning on notifications, and staying engaged isn't a formality. It's a commitment to clarity. The universe doesn't need speed. It needs attention. Wherever attention rests, the story lights up, even in the final breath. Before we end, I'll leave you with 2 simple tasks. Choose one ritual to start today, and share in the comments the first insight that arises. This exchange builds a living community of study and practice where science, mind, and spirituality grow side by side. For continuity, I suggest saving this guide, subscribing, and setting reminders. Consistency always wins over intensity. Step by step, your inner field becomes more coherent, and the outer world responds. Wherever attention lands, that's where the story of your life begins to grow.